LCM stands for light commercial and motorhome trucks, motorhome wheels. This system is used for dually wheels, some of your F450s, F550s, and 8x210, 8x200, 10x225. Right here is the plate we make out of aluminum. It's hard anodized, so it's very durable. It also has all the lug nut markings on the backside, the bolt patterns rather. Also, the bushing in this is not as long as the other ones. It's long enough to be effective, but it gives you more space on the shaft when you're tightening stuff up. We also have this convenient application chart that's got all the different truck wheels listed on it. So it tells you basically which collet to use, what size the bore is, and it tells you which stud to use as well. So if you see a column that's got green checks, that's the stud that should be used for that particular application. If it's red and it's got an X, don't use it, use something else. This is our new spacer disc. What makes this superior to others on the market is a lot of the other ones out there, our competitors, they make one out of aluminum. So aluminum can dent real easily and it'll actually make your wheel not sit flat against it. So this is actually hardened steel, so it's very durable, and it's black oxided, so it will not rust either. It also has a really good feature in it that allows you to utilize the built-in spring on the balancer. We call it a spring extension. So basically when you put your collet in, you push it up against that, the back side of it comes out and then it pushes it up against the built-in spring on the balancer. That's important because you want it to put pressure on the collet to fit it up tightly inside the bore of the wheel before you tighten it down. It also has bolts, and we recommend bolting it to the back of your balancer flange when you have really heavy wheels. Some of your 10x225 wheels can get very heavy, 100 pounds or more. So we recommend bolting it. You don't always have to do that, but for the bigger, heavier wheels, we recommend it. We have 3 collets that go with the system. They're low taper. In order to make it work better, we had to get a really smooth surface finish. So these collets are actually hardened first before they turn, because that'll give you a smoother surface finish. It has a smoother surface finish than anybody else out there on the market. The reason you want that is because when you're putting the wheel up on here, you want it to move freely on there and not bind when you're tightening it up. And also, when you're done balancing, you want it to come out easily. If it's got a rough surface finish, it can actually stick in the bore of the wheel. It also has an additional lip right here, and it slants upward here on the end on the small side. This has 2 functions. It serves to keep the wheel from coming all the way off when you're trying to mount it onto the balancer and slam it down onto the shaft. It also sticks out beyond these steps right here, as well as this, so if it gets dropped on a concrete floor, it will not damage or dent your smooth surface that you need to go up into the bore of the wheel. So they're very durable. We have 4 different sets of studs for the LCM system. These are spring-loaded studs, and the reason that's important is because some of your steel wheels out there, the steel is not always the same thickness. So when you're putting the plate on and tightening it up, you want even pressure all the way around that wheel, and that spring-loaded stud allows you to do that. These studs here have an extended nipple. What that does is when you're mounting it, and when you put the studs on the plate and you mount it onto the balancer, these stick through the lug hole, and they actually go beyond the spacer disc, and that nipple right there rests on the spacer disc to help support the weight of some of your real heavy wheels. We recommend using these for the heavier wheels. These are the studs that you're using on the Japanese wheels. Mitsubishi and some of your other ones, they use a really big lug nut, so you need a big diameter stud to go in those holes and seat properly. We also have the knurled nuts that are included in the system, and we recommend you use these when you're putting these studs on with the bigger wheels, and you put it on the back and you tighten it down on the back of the plate so that it's nice and snug. Okay, now we're going to show you how to mount one of these bigger truck wheels to the balancer with a new LCM system. This wheel right here happens to be an 8x200 dually wheel for a Ford. And if you look at your chart here, you will see there's an 8x200 bolt pattern. It also has a green check right here in front of this particular stud right here. So that's the stud tip, or the stud that you're going to use for this application. Grab the plate here, and as you can see, the markings are real clear on the back. You don't need 8 studs on this application. 4 will do, so you find the 4x200. Stick your finger right there and you pop it in the hole. You do it all the way around. Okay, so now our plate is ready to mount the wheel. What we're going to do now is put the spacer disc on the balancer itself. This particular balancer is a corgi, so we match this hole right here up with the hole pattern on the flange, and we got the proper bolts. Again, you don't always have to bolt it up, but we recommend it for some of your heavier wheels. So slide the spacer disc on, line up your holes with the bolts, and you can finger tighten it. Snug it up with your fingers, and then recommend using a hex head wrench and getting it snug on the balancer itself. Okay, so that step's done. We got to make sure we use the right cone here. So it was calling for the particular bore size on this is 142 millimeter. So that's cone number 2, which is this one. We're going to take our cone, stick it on, and as you can see, with the spring extension, we have it pushed out nice so that. Okay, now we're going to mount this 8x200 wheel on the balancer. Stick it on the cone, put the plate in there, line it up with your lug nut holes, tighten it down.